They at Oasis each year or at convention that the pastors would normally attend, it is voted on where those dollars go to. I'll tell you, in the past, I've kind of looked at it as a bit of a maybe even a tithe that our church pays, in the same way as it's healthy and good for us as individuals to give to God through the church and let somebody else decide what to do with it, no strings attached. We're truly giving it to God. I view it as it's our support. We certainly believe in the mission of our sister churches, and so we give a portion of things with kind of no strings attached, saying, hey, we do watch to see what are they doing with it, the same as you're watching and you're being responsible to see what are we doing with the dollars that come into the church. But long story short, that $38,000 goes toward office expenses to run our denomination, to support our denomination, plus then a portion goes to church renewal. A portion would go to all of our convention organizations like Camp Wildwood, Green Hill Lake Camp, like the different organizations of the convention. The perception was always that was directly to missionaries. That's why we've taken a larger and larger portion of that pot and put it toward Canadian Baptist missions. You'll see the CBM line up above it, which is $12,000 this year. We've been moving money from one to the other because the perception for Ever in a Day was that was missions money, and so we're just making it a little more pure missions money to go there. So the two numbers together are $50,000.
Okay, Jeff, are we operational?
We are operational. I'm just waiting for them to confirm that they got my new link.
Okay. Good news, Isaac. It looks like they found Bathurst. So.
So it is 8:30, and so, Mr. Chair, just in the interest of time, I would suggest that as we get Bathurst back online, that we complete this report, ask quickly if there's any questions directly from Bathurst, and then maybe move on. I will reassure you that the next few items on the agenda that you see might think, how late are we going to be here for? They'll move very, very quickly, so don't run away just yet.
Excellent. Well, I will share then. I only have two line items left. So interest on mortgage and principal on mortgage. Like I said earlier, convention often gives us a refund on our interest, but we do budget $37,000. That is that is exactly what it costs us in interest and principal. But if they do give us a check back, I think, like I said, last year it was about $24,000. So usually it's somewhere in that $5,000 to $7,000 range per year. So grand total of cost is $945,980. So we are expecting a surplus this year of $2,200. So Darwin, we're starting you off on the right foot. So good luck. One of the biggest things, though, to remember, all these budgeted items are based on giving. And so if money does not come in, the staff have done a great job at making sure that money does not go out unnecessarily. So we want them to continue to do more and look for more opportunities. And in order to do that, we do need $945,000 to come in here. So continue to think about that when you're giving every week, that if we want to do more. We do need to continue to have more funds come in, but the guys and girls do a great job. If the money does not come in, they do not spend it. So we are always saying, hey, there's money here, continue to move forward. And if there's not at a navigation board meeting, they know that, hey, for the next 30 days, we need to be a little bit more cautious with our spending. So great job to Kevin's leadership on that, the team on that, and sticking within our means is very important at this church. So any questions on the budget itself that we're proposing for 2021?
I just have one question, and this has to do with the Newcastle lobby flooring. It's saying it's not safe, and can you elaborate why it is, or is there any actions being taken to correct the unsafeness of the lobby flooring?
Yeah, so in 2020, the lobby floor was deemed unsafe, and mostly because of, I don't know if when you were walking through, some of the tiles were coming loose. It had to do with originally when we put the tile down, it was the preparation of the floor, and it didn't last quite how we had thought. And so that's why we did go to the carpet tile, but it was about the installation originally on the renovation about 8-10 years ago now. And so there was some loose tiles. If you stepped on a certain one, it would feel wobbly, and we did feel, and insurance started to tell us that that was unsafe and we were going to have to address it. Luckily, we were able to address it when nobody was actually having to come here. So
Yeah, it has all been addressed at this point, so everything's safe.
yeah, the hard tile was the problem. So the carpet, that's why we did it this summer, was to make it safe, and thankfully the capital funds were coming in, so we were able to do that. Nope, at the back.
Another quick question. Is that on, Russell?
Yeah, you're on.
Just under charitable giving, if someone gives a gift and specifies Miramichi Food Bank, does that show up under benevolent giving, local, sort of, or where would that be?
I think if it's given directly to the food bank, it would go under our benevolent revenue, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, unless there's a line, I just can't remember off the top of my head. If there's a line in here that says food bank, then it would be food bank directed. But if not, then it could be under benevolent. If we still have Margot online with us, I know that sometimes it's just directly, it may not even show up in this report. So there's thousands of dollars that don't show up in this report because Justin has said it's a net budget. You're seeing largely the net numbers. So say somebody comes to me and they say, hey, we love the light tunnel that you want to do. Here's $5,000 toward it. That $5,000 doesn't necessarily show up in these numbers, or like in my, we've given out thousands of dollars in benevolent gift cards, for instance. But we also applied for a $5,000 grant that provided $50, $100 gift cards. And so that, I'm not sure if that money would show up here or not, but there's gifts of that sort that don't always show up here. This is kind of the net bottom line numbers. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so just to clarify a little bit, I guess, is if, like Kevin said, if somebody gives us money towards the light tunnel, this is the $5,000 that's in this budget is what the church is expecting it to cost us. It costs more than $5,000 to do, and so there was gifts that didn't go into general revenue. They went directly towards those expenses.
Yep.
Yes, Margot just confirmed that. The money is given directly to the food bank, and like what you're saying, then it's not placed into a specific budget line. Then it's just handed to us and handed to the food bank.
It's one of my little ongoing pet peeves, but it's not easily addressed. I'd love to show the whole picture. It creates a bunch more lines and makes the meeting even longer.
Any other questions? Oh, Nathan?
Thank you. back to office and administration expenses. You mentioned, I think it's under there, maybe it's not. You mentioned there's like a $5,200 fee based on usage for the online giving portal. I just wanted to make sure I'm clear on envelope fees for those of you who are like me who use the traditional cash envelopes for the offering. Is the cost of providing the envelopes offset by the initial offerings that are listed under revenue?
Usually, Nathan, we wouldn't say 100% it always is. We do budget a small amount for the envelopes, but usually people, when they get their first set of envelopes, do give a gift towards that. And so their initial offering each year in January, usually there's enough comes in from that to cover the cost of the envelopes. But we do budget, I think it's usually a couple $100, and that would be in the finance supplies line, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, thank you.
Jeff, does Bathurst have any finance questions on their end?
No, nothing's come through, but just a clarification from Margot. I may have misspoke, but she said the food bank one actually does fall under a miscellaneous designated fund line. But nothing from Bathurst.
So like Kevin said, if there's something you'd really like to see happen here at the church, we can find ways to make it happen, but everything does come with some costs. So if there's things that you think we should be doing more of, please let the pastor in charge of that budget know, and please let them know if you're willing to contribute a little bit extra towards that, because anything that's on these line items are things that these guys and girls want to do. We definitely hold them back a little bit on certain things because they want to do way more than we feel maybe is financially possible, but they definitely have dreams beyond this budget. And so if you can continue to give, 2020 amazed me every week when I open the numbers. 2021 continue to do the same, and I'm sure it will do the same going forward. And yeah, like I said, third Tuesday of the month I'm here, so don't tell my wife.
Thank you, Justin. We are going to miss you. So, on that note, can I have a motion for the acceptance of the 2021 budget? You got that, Karen? James Bond. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Nathan. Any further discussion or questions on the 2021 proposed budget? Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All against, nay. Waiting on Bathurst, if it's still there.
All in favor of Bathurst.
All right, motion carried. Thank you, everyone. And once again, thank you very much for everyone's support. I mean, when we were looking at those numbers, that's a lot of money for you to be responsible for, and it's amazing what God is doing with what is coming in. So, thank you very much. So, moving along, and yes, thank you very much for your patience and some of our technical difficulties as we're experiencing them, but hopefully no more will be found, and we'll be able to move right on through. So, on that note, we do have some new names for your navigation board. Some of these candidates, I guess we'll call them at this point in time, are replacing those who have had to step down. And we do have a couple of new members that we would like to vote on as well, too. So I believe within your program that you received when you came in, you should have received a navigation board election form. On that note, here in Newcastle, if Ann Cameron would like to stand up so everyone can see you, Annie. She's way at the back. So Some of us may not know who Annie is because she spends a lot of time downstairs, so she's heavily involved with our children's ministry, and she is going to be fulfilling the rest of Isaac McInnes's term, which would have been ending this year, but she'll be also fulfilling that in the second term. Simon Holohan, who you've already met, Simon, but maybe I'll get you to stand up one more time so everyone can see you. Simon is also going to be letting his name stand as well too, and if everything goes well, he will be our trustee chair for as long as time exists, I think. The third candidate, I don't know if Phil is here tonight.
Phil actually just reached out before the meeting. He's always here, faithfully here. He sent his regrets. He actually has an obsessed tooth and
Oh, no.
is not able to be here tonight, but still living, still kicking, and is worthy of your support.
Very worthy of our support. And I think we all know who Phil is. And Vincent Vanopoulos, I'm just going to have to trust that you are standing up right now because I made everyone else stand up. Vincent is a member in our Bathurst congregation and has been an ardent supporter in our NAB board over the years. Although I am somewhat disappointed, I think if some of you can remember during our last gathering, I think Vincent's second term was going into like 2060 or something like that. So it's certainly, I think Vincent's probably hoping that he will be able to get this one moved to 2025. So on that note,
They are
if,
nicely cheering in Bathurst right now.
pardon me?
They are all cheering in Bathurst.
We'll take that as affirmation then. So on that note, we are going to get everyone to take a few minutes to vote on these candidates. I can tell you that I certainly highly respect all of these people that have just recently joined us, and yeah, they've been wonderful to work with over the last few months for sure. Our two tellers here in Newcastle are Russell White and Dale McNeil. They will go around and collect those ballots. Once we are done that, we will allow them to tabulate those votes. We will also give Bathurst a few minutes to do the same thing, and once we receive what those numbers are, we will let that happen. Yes, I do. Did you have one? Okay. Yeah, Kevin. I have no idea what person, but okay, so just to respect everyone's time, and I once again do appreciate everyone coming out on a Thursday evening, and Thursday evening is starting to get a little bit long for some of us. So on that note, while the tabulation is occurring, we do have at this point in time a notice of motion regarding a constitutional change, and we will get Kevin to present that.
Yeah, I'll just tell you real quick, we're not able to vote on this tonight. This is a notice of motion. Constitutional changes require at least a 3-month waiting period, but we do want to officially give you the notice of motion. The two motions that are going to be voted on at our next duly called meeting. One, notice of motion number 1 is really just terms of service for our facility management team. They didn't get included when we prepared the new Constitution, and so we just want to give them some terms. So you'll see those terms listed there. Then the second item is perhaps a little different. We need to change the wording, or we want to. The navigation board wants to suggest that we change the wording of our current Constitution. Right now, we are able to have a Bathurst site and Miramichi site simultaneous kind of meeting as we're having, but we didn't foresee the pandemic when we were writing the Constitution, and so what we would like to do is to be able to expand the 2 official sites where services are held on Sundays to have annual meetings or business meetings really that you could attend from home if you needed to, or if we needed you to. So we missed the February 2021 meeting this year because at that time I think Bathurst was in orange and we were in yellow, or there was some complications there. We don't have to use this, but we do have to look at weird and wonderful possibilities for the future, so we want to have that available to us. So you can read the details of that notice of motion, but those are 2 motions that are now on the table and can be voted upon at our next meeting. Any questions about either of those 2 things? That's a good point too. Yeah, we do have people that are very much identifying with us online as and may want to be members. I mentioned the person that wants to be baptized. I know that one of Swartzy's goals is to be able to travel and go baptize somebody because they're so connected with what we're doing. So yeah, that's another bit of the rationale there. Any other questions on that? Anything from Bathurst? Very good. The last thing that I will mention is I'd like to have a vote on this item. The Navigation Board has met with Sue Sweezy, and we've had a few discussions and whatnot, and really in an effort to affirm and just encourage her years of faithful service, especially in the area of care ministry, and to allow her to just continue on in that, and for us to encourage and affirm Sue in that regard. We would like to extend to her a church license to minister, especially in this area of care ministry. And so I would like to have a motion to that effect, and then we would be able to vote on that. But would somebody second? I will move that we receive, or that we give Sue this church license to minister as I've described. And is there a seconder? Russell White is actually involved with our care ministry, so I think that would be wonderful to have him, and we'll get you very, very soon on the next, but Russ will second that, and I will stop taking over the job of the thing. We need a vote on that one.
I'm getting paid the same irregardless, so please
Yes,
continue. All right, so thank you very much. Any discussion, questions on the most recent motion? Yes. Sure.
Here comes Russell with a microphone.
I've always had a special place in my heart for senior people. Even when I was a young girl, I worked with St. John Ambulance, and we used to go over to the annex in Moncton every Saturday and look after the old people. And then when I graduated from high school, I went to Bible school, and then I went and took the RNA course, and I did that until medical problems stopped me, but I've always still had that desire in my heart, and I still have it. And one of the reasons that I wanted a license is because I'm hoping with COVID, but I'm hoping by fall maybe that I can get into the nursing homes and the special care homes, and maybe they'll maybe I can have more privileges as to be able to meet with and visit with people that have no one. And if their time comes and they have no one, that I would be able to go and sit with them. So that's really my kind of ministry that I want to do. And hopefully I can keep my joints going. But I tell Kevin, as long as I don't get arthritis of the mouth, I'll be all right. So I'd appreciate your prayers. And if any of you have someone in a home or needs a visit, I suppose you should go to call Karen, and Karen can call me, and I will visit.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
I
Sue.
love it. I love it.
Thank you, Sue. So on that note, are we ready for the question? All in favor?
Aye.
All contrary minded? And just waiting on Bathurst.
This is teaching me great patience because I hate 2 seconds of dead time. I don't hardly take a breath in between sentences usually. So
All in favor in Bathurst?
very good.
Thank you very much. Okay, so our final item is, do we have everything tabulated?
Yes, everything came in, all yeses.
Okay, very good. So our new NAB
Excellent.
board members, thank you very much. Now you're fully committed, so congratulations.
Good. Just as before I turn things back over to you to close in prayer, Billy, or to get your motion to adjourn or whatever, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to Bathurst. Thank you to those of you. Like I say this with all of my heart. Thank you to our staff. Thank you to our core, who is just so supportive, not just in what you might think is these big significant ways, just your encouragement, your nods and your prayers and your support, your quick response to the Daily Renew that says, hey, I needed this today. Thank you for standing together as a church. Thanks for coming out in the middle of a beautiful evening. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for all you do. I am thankful to God for you.
Thank you, Kevin. And on that note, do we have a motion to adjourn? Sure, Stephen?
Just 1 second, Steve. Bathurst needs to hear you.
A member of the Little Southwest Baptist Church. There was a man came there one time, and I'm going to try to make this short and sweet. He came there one time, and what he was trying to do was start new churches in the Maritimes. And he talked about different areas where he was trying to start these churches. And one of the areas that he talked about, and this is when he came here, this would be maybe 15, 20 years ago. One of the areas he talked about was Douglastown. And I thought to myself tonight, like, we have churches here in Newcastle, and there's churches in Chatham. But are there churches in Douglastown, you know, that are putting forth the gospel? And it may be just something to think about. I don't want to vote on or anything like that, but it's just something that we should think about maybe as a church. Thank you.
Agreed. Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. So, do we have a motion to adjourn? Salome, thank you very much. Do we have a seconder? Thank you very much, Nathan. A good way to end the evening. All right, so we will close off in a word of prayer. Father, I just want to thank you and praise you, Father, for having everyone out here tonight, both in Miramichi and Bathurst, to take time to discuss your ministry, Father. It's so good to see people again, Father, and to realize that despite everything that's gone on in the last 18 months, Father, that your work is still viable, your work is still important, and that there's people that care, Father, and I really want to thank you and praise you for that. I just pray that you'll guide and especially our staff, Father, here at the church. Just bless them, watch over them, just continue to watch over them, lead and guide. And I just pray that you continue to bless this church and this ministry. For us in Christ's name we ask these things. Amen. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.